Jack Nelson stared at the warning light on his ship's control panel. The fuel gauge blinked red, matching his bank account status. 3 months of bad luck had left him with almost nothing. The vast emptiness of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter stretched before him, beautiful but unforgiving to those who couldn't afford fuel. "Any luck?" Maya Watson asked, entering the cockpit of their salvage ship, the Bargain Hunter. Her dark hair was tied back and worry lines creased. Her forehead. Jack shook his head. "Nothing worth the fuel to retrieve it." He gestured at the scanner, showing only small, worthless rocks. Maya sighed and dropped into the co-pilot seat. "Hank says the left thruster is making strange noises again." "We can't afford to fix it." "I know." Jack ran his hand through his short brown hair. "1 more week. If we don't find something valuable, we'll have to head back to Mars and sell the ship." They sat in silence, watching the stars. 7 years of partnership might end because of a string of bad luck. The thought made Jack's stomach twist. The scanner beeped. A new object appeared on the edge of their range. "What's that?" Maya leaned forward, adjusting the scanner settings. Jack squinted at the readings. "Something big, not an asteroid." He tapped commands into the navigation system. "Let's check it out." The engines hummed as the Bargain Hunter changed course. As they drew closer, the ship's cameras showed a large metal container tumbling slowly through space. "It's a cargo container," Jack said, excitement creeping into his voice. "Looks like it broke off a transport ship." Maya frowned at her screen. "The radiation signature is strange. Not dangerous, but not normal either. Probably just damaged goods." Jack was already calculating potential profits. Even for scrap metal, it could keep us going another month? "I don't know, Jack." Maya zoomed in on the container. "Those markings don't look like any shipping company I recognize." The container was dark gray with faded symbols along its side. They weren't the usual corporate logos or shipping codes. Instead, they looked like flowing script in no language Jack had ever seen. "That makes it better," Jack insisted. "Unknown origin means no one's looking for it. Salvage law is clear. We find it, we claim it, we keep the profits." The ship's comm system crackled. "You guys seeing this?" Hank Rivera's voice came through. "That container is putting out some weird energy patterns." "Nothing dangerous," Jack replied quickly. "Just unusual, if you say so." Hank didn't sound convinced. "I've got the retrieval arm ready." Jack guided the ship closer. The container was larger than he'd first thought, about 20 feet long and 8 feet wide. Despite some scorch marks on one end, it appeared intact. "Running the registration?" "Check," Maya said, following salvage protocol. She sent the container's location to the Solar System Salvage Authority. After a moment, the response came back. "No active claims, estimated value, only 500 credits." 500? Jack frowned. "That can't be right." "There's enough metal there worth twice that." "The system probably can't identify the material," Maya shrugged. "Their loss, our gain." "Bringing it in," Jack announced, activating the ship's external retrieval system. Metal arms extended from the Bargain Hunter, gently capturing the container and pulling it toward their cargo bay. The ship shuddered slightly as the magnetic clamps locked onto the strange object. "Got it," Hank reported from the cargo bay. "Bay doors closing." "And we're pressurizing," Jack allowed himself a small smile. It wasn't a major find, but it was something. Maya was still looking troubled. "We should be careful opening it. We don't know what's inside." "It's just cargo," Jack said. "Probably machine parts or minerals." But even as he spoke, he wondered about those strange markings. They descended to the cargo bay, where Hank was, already examining the container. Up close, the markings were even more intricate, with swirling patterns that seemed to shift as they looked at them. Hank, a stocky man with calloused hands and a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, ran a scanner over the surface. "This isn't any alloy I've seen before. Light but incredibly strong. Can you open it?" Jack asked. Hank pointed to what appeared to be a seam running the length of the container. "I think this is some kind of access panel, but there's no obvious way to open it. No handles, no keypads, Maybe it's controlled remotely, Maya suggested. Or maybe ... Hank pressed his palm against a smooth section of the container's surface. To everyone's surprise, a soft blue light appeared beneath his hand, spreading outward in concentric circles. The container hummed quietly. What did you do? Jack asked, stepping back. Nothing. It just reacted to my touch. Hank pulled his hand away quickly. The blue light faded, but the humming continued. A small panel appeared where Hank had touched, revealing what looked like a complex locking mechanism. That's not human technology, Maya whispered. Jack felt a chill run down his spine, but also a surge of excitement. If this was alien tech, it could be worth millions, not hundreds. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. Maya rushed to a nearby terminal. Proximity alert, she called. Unidentified ship approaching fast. Looks like a patrol vessel. Salvage pirates, Jack guessed. They must have picked up our retrieval. What do we do? Hank asked, looking between. Jack and the container. Jack made a quick decision. We run. That hidden asteroid pocket near Ceres, we can hide there and figure out how to open this thing. They rushed back to their stations. Jack fired up the engines, pushing them harder than was safe. The bargain hunter shot away from the approaching ship, diving into a dense field of asteroids where larger vessels couldn't follow. They're not. Pursuing, Maya reported after several tense minutes. Jack eased back on the engines. Good, set course for the pocket. We'll take our time with our new find. 2 hours later, they were safely hidden in a hollow asteroid big enough to conceal their ship. Hank had been working on the container's locking mechanism while Jack and Maya kept watch. I think I've got it, Hank called. Jack and Maya joined him by the container. Hank had connected their ship's computer to the alien lock, running code sequences to try to override it. It's responding to this pattern, Hank explained, showing a sequence on his tablet. It's mathematical. Prime numbers arranged in a specific order. Universal language, Maya murmured. Intelligent species would understand math. Hank entered the final sequence. The lock glowed bright blue, then green. With a soft hiss, the seam along the container began to open. Cold vapor poured out, clouding their vision. As it cleared, Jack stepped forward, heart pounding. Inside the container were 7 long frosted pods arranged in a row. Through the clear tops, he could make out humanoid shapes. Those are stasis pods, Maya breathed. And they're not empty. Jack stared at the alien faces behind the frost-covered glass. Their skin was silvery, their features elegant but definitely not human. Well, Jack said finally, I guess we got more than we bargained for. The frost slowly cleared from the stasis pods, revealing more details of the beings inside. Jack, Maya, and Hank stood frozen in place, staring at their unexpected discovery. Are they alive? Jack finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Hank checked the readings on his scanner. 6 of them show life signs, weak but steady. He pointed to the pod at the far end. That one's not active. Whoever was inside is gone. Maya moved closer to examine the pods. Each was about 7 feet long, made of a transparent material that wasn't quite glass. The aliens inside had silvery skin that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light of the cargo bay. Their bodies were humanoid, but with longer limbs and more slender builds than humans. Their faces were delicate, with large eyes currently closed in what looked like peaceful sleep. What do we do now? Maya asked, turning to Jack. He ran his hand through his hair, a habit when he was thinking hard. I don't know. This is way beyond salvage operations. We should report this to the authorities, Maya said. Which authorities? Hank countered. Earth government? Mars Colonial Administration? The corporate mining outposts? Who exactly handles first contact situations? Jack paced around the container. Everyone will want these aliens. Scientists, military, corporations. They'll take them away and we'll be lucky to get a finder's fee. You can't be thinking about money at a time like this, Maya said, shocked. Thinking about them? Jack pointed at the sleeping aliens. What if the authorities treat them like lab specimens or weapons? A tense silence fell over the cargo bay. We need to learn more before we decide, Jack finally said. Hank, can you figure out how these pods work? Maybe there's a way to communicate with them. Hank nodded and began examining the control panels on the side of each pod. The symbols were similar to those on the outside of the container, flowing and intricate. These look like status indicators, he said, pointing to changing patterns of light. And this might be ... His hand hovered over a glowing blue circle on the first pod. Wait, Maya called out, but it was too late. Hank's fingers brushed against the circle. It flashed bright blue, then white. The entire pod hummed, and a sequence of lights ran from one end to the other. What did you do? Jack demanded. I don't know. I barely touched it. Hank backed away from the pod. The transparent cover of the pod began to retract, sliding back smoothly. More vapor escaped and the 3 humans stepped back, unsure what would happen next. The alien inside the pod didn't move at first. Then slowly its chest rose and fell in a deeper breath. Its fingers twitched. It's waking up, Maya whispered. The alien's eyes opened. They were large and almond-shaped, with irises that shimmered between blue and purple. It blinked several times, then turned its head to look at the humans. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the alien tried to sit up, but fell back weakly. Help it, Jack said, moving forward. Together, he and Maya gently supported the alien as it sat up. Its skin felt smooth and cool to the touch. It was lighter than expected, almost fragile. The alien made a soft sound like chimes in the wind. Its gaze moved from one human face to another, then to the other pods. Can you understand us? Jack asked slowly. We found your container floating in space. The alien tilted its head, listening. It raised a slender hand to its throat, then made another musical sound, different from the first. I don't think it speaks our language, Maya said. The alien seemed to agree. It looked around the cargo bay, then pointed to itself and made a sound that might have been a name. Lyra? Jack repeated, trying to match the musical quality. Is that your name? The alien Lyra nodded slightly, recognizing the attempt. She pointed to Jack with a questioning look. Jack, he said, touching his chest. Jack Nelson. Maya Watson, Maya added, following his example. Hank Rivera, Hank said from where he stood. Still wary, Lyra repeated their names, her voice making them sound like notes in a song. Then she turned to look at the other pods, concern clear on her face. Your friends, Jack said, gesturing to the pods. They're alive, except ... He pointed to the damaged pod. Lyra understood. Sadness passed over her features, but she nodded. She tried to stand, but swayed unsteadily. Careful, Maya said, supporting her. You've been asleep for a long time. Lyra made a questioning sound. We don't know how long, Jack answered, guessing her question. We just found you today. Hank had moved to the ship's computer terminal. I'm setting up a basic communication program, pictures, simple concepts. Maybe we can figure out where they came from. Lyra watched him work, then looked back at the other pods. She made an urgent gesture toward them. You want us to wake them too? Jack asked. Lyra shook her head and made a waiting motion with her hand. She pointed to herself, then mimicked eating. And drinking. She needs food and water first, Maya realized. She's been in stasis. Her body needs to recover before we wake the others, Jack nodded. I'll get supplies from the galley. While Jack fetched food and water, Maya helped Lyra to a sitting position on a cargo crate. Hank worked on his communication program, occasionally glancing nervously at their visitor. Jack returned with a tray of water, fruit, and protein bars. Lyra examined each item carefully before trying small bites. She seemed to like the fruit but made a face at the protein bar. Not a fan of space rations, Jack said with a smile. Can't blame you there. After eating, Lyra seemed stronger. She stood carefully, now able to balance on her own. She walked to Hank's terminal and watched the images he was assembling, simple pictures of planets, stars, and ships. Suddenly, the ship's alarm sounded again. Another proximity alert, Maya said, rushing to check. It's a big ship this time, military grade. Her face paled as she read the identification. It's Helix Security. The private military contractor? Hank asked. What are they doing out here? They're hailing us, Maya reported. Jack exchanged worried looks with his crew. Helix Security worked for the highest bidder, usually large corporations. They operated in legal gray areas, using questionable authority to secure valuable resources. Put them through, Jack said grimly. The communication screen lit up, showing a stern-faced man in a black uniform. Salvage vessel Bargain Hunter, this is Captain Donovan of Helix Security. Our scans indicate you've retrieved an unregistered container from Sector 7. Under Regulation 14 of the Outer System Security Act, we are authorized to inspect and secure any potentially hazardous materials. The container is just salvage, Jack replied carefully. Already registered with the Salvage Authority. Our information suggests otherwise, Donovan said coldly. Prepare to be boarded for inspection. The screen went dark. They know, Hank whispered. Somehow they know about the aliens. Lyra had been watching the exchange. Though she couldn't understand the words, she clearly sensed the danger. She made an urgent gesture toward her sleeping companions, then pointed to the stars visible through the cargo bay window. I think she's saying we need to run, Maya said. Jack nodded. And fast. Helix doesn't ask nicely twice. Lyra rushed to her stasis pod and pressed a sequence of symbols. A hidden compartment opened, revealing what looked like a small tablet. She activated it, and a holographic star map appeared above it. Even as they watched in amazement, the ship shuddered. Helix Security was using a tractor beam to hold them in place. We have to break free, Jack said, already moving toward the cockpit. Hank, get the engines ready for emergency burn. Maya, find us an escape route. As they rushed to their stations, Lyra stood among her sleeping companions, clutching her star map and watching the humans with hope and fear in her shimmering eyes. Jack raced to the cockpit and dropped into the pilot's seat. The Bargain Hunter shuddered again as the Helix Security ship tightened its tractor beam. Status? Jack called out as he fired up the main engines. Tractor beam has us locked, Maya reported from the navigation station. They're pulling us in slowly. Hank, we need more power, Jack said into the com. Working on it, Hank's voice crackled back. Rerouting power from life support to the engines. We'll have air for 6 hours. Jack gripped the controls. Maya, find us a path through the asteroids. Something tight that their big ship can't follow. Maya's fingers flew over her console. There's a narrow passage about 30 seconds from our position. But Jack, even if we break free, they'll just follow us. One problem at a time, Jack muttered. He was surprised to see Lyra enter the cockpit. She moved with unusual grace despite her recent awakening from stasis. She pointed at the Helix ship visible through the view screen, then made a slashing motion across her throat. Yes, they're dangerous, Jack agreed. We need to get away from them, Lyra seemed to understand. She looked at the control panel, then at Jack, making a gesture like she wanted to help. What can she do? Maya asked. I don't know, but we're out of options, Jack replied. He moved aside slightly, giving Lyra access to part of the control panel. Lyra placed her slender hands on the ship's console. To Jack's amazement, the panels responded to her touch, displays changing color. She closed her eyes for a moment, and the ship hummed differently. What's happening? Maya asked, watching her screens. Power output just increased by 40%. She's doing something to the ship's systems, Jack said. Feeling the controls respond more quickly under his hands, Lyra opened her eyes and pointed urgently at the asteroid field. She wants us to go now, Jack decided. He pushed the engines to full power. For a moment, nothing happened. The tractor beam held them firmly. Then the Bargain Hunter lurched forward, breaking free with a metal-straining groan. We're loose! Maya shouted. Jack didn't waste time celebrating. He aimed the ship toward the narrow passage Maya had identified and pushed the engines beyond their normal limits. The Helix ship fired warning shots, energy beams flashing past their port side. They're not happy, Jack said grimly as he maneuvered between two large asteroids. The passage ahead was barely wider than their ship. Under normal circumstances, Jack would never attempt such a dangerous route, but these weren't normal circumstances. Brace for tight maneuvering, he warned. The Bargain Hunter slipped into the narrow gap between asteroid clusters. Rock walls passed by so close they seemed to scrape the hull. Behind them, the Helix ship fired again, but the shots hit asteroids instead, causing small explosions. They can't follow us through here, Maya said, watching the rear sensors. Their ship is too big. They'll go around, Jack replied. We need somewhere to hide. Lyra was studying Maya's navigation display. She pointed to a location near the edge of the asteroid belt, making questioning sounds. I think she wants us to go there, Maya said. Can we trust her? Jack asked, still steering through the narrow passage. She helped us escape, Maya pointed out. And they're after her and her friends too, Jack nodded. Plot a course to those coordinates once we're clear of this passage. The ship suddenly rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. What was that? Jack demanded. Impact on the left thruster, Hank reported from engineering. We were already having problems with it, remember? Now it's failing completely. Can you fix it? Not while we're moving, Hank replied. We need to stop somewhere, Jack looked at Lyra. We need a safe place to make repairs, understand? Lyra seemed to grasp the situation. She adjusted her pointing on the map, indicating a different location closer to their position. There's a small moon around that dwarf planet, Maya said, examining the new coordinates. Lots of deep craters. Good hiding place. Set course, Jack ordered. They emerged from the asteroid passage into open space. Jack pushed the remaining engines as hard as possible, feeling the ship vibrate unhealthily beneath them. Helix ship is going around the asteroid field, Maya reported. They'll catch up to us in about 20 minutes at our current speed. We'll be at the moon in 15 if the engines hold, Jack said. Lyra left the cockpit suddenly, moving with purpose. Where's she going? Jack asked. I don't know, Maya replied. Should I follow her? No, I need you here. Jack focused on piloting the damaged ship. 5 minutes later, Hank's voice came over the comm. Jack, you need to see this. Our alien friend is doing something to the stasis pods. Jack exchanged a worried look with Maya. What do you mean? She's waking up another one of them, Hank explained. I think she needs help. Maya, take the controls, Jack said, standing up. Keep us on course for that moon. Jack hurried to the cargo bay. There he found Lyra standing beside one of the stasis pods. The cover was already retracting, revealing another alien inside. This one was larger, with broader shoulders and a more angular face. She's waking up another one? Jack asked Hank, who stood nearby. Looks like it, Hank confirmed. She seemed to know exactly which one to wake up too. The second alien's eyes opened. They were darker than Lyra's, almost black. It took in its surroundings quickly, then sat up without assistance. Lyra made musical sounds, seemingly explaining the situation. The new alien looked at Jack and Hank, studying them intensely. Then it stood up in one fluid motion, much steadier than Lyra had been. I'm Jack Nelson, Jack said, touching his chest. This is Hank Rivera. The alien nodded, understanding the introduction. It touched its own chest and made a sound. Krell? Jack attempted to pronounce the name. The alien Krell nodded again. Then he looked at Lyra, who made more musical sounds and gestures. Krell seemed to make a decision. He walked confidently to a wall panel in the cargo bay, one that controlled the ship's internal power distribution. Without hesitation, he placed his hand on it. Hey, wait, Hank started to protest. The panel lit up, responding to Krell's touch just as the cockpit controls had responded to Lyra. But Krell seemed to have a different effect. The lights threw out. The ship brightened, and the unsteady vibration of the engine smoothed out. He's stabilizing our power systems, Hank said in amazement, checking his tablet. How does he know how our technology works? The ship suddenly lurched as an impact rocked it. The alarm blared again. We're under fire. Maya's voice came over the comm. Helix caught up faster than expected. Jack, get back here. Jack ran for the cockpit, leaving Hank with the aliens. When he arrived, the situation had worsened. 2 Helix ships now pursued them, both firing warning shots. They're trying to disable us, not destroy us, Maya said. They want what's on board? The moon? Jack asked, taking back the controls. 3 minutes away, Maya replied. The ship rocked again as another shot grazed their hull. Jack struggled with the controls. Then Krell entered the cockpit, moving with military-like precision. He surveyed the situation quickly, then went to the weapons station, a simple defensive system rarely used by salvage ships. Before Jack could object, Krell activated the system. But instead of firing directly at the Helix ships, he targeted a small asteroid between them. The bargain hunter's modest laser hit the rock, shattering it into thousands of pieces that spread outward. Creating a cloud of debris, the Helix ships were forced to veer off to avoid the debris field, giving the bargain hunter precious moments to pull ahead. Smart, Jack admitted, impressed. Krell made a gesture with his hands, mimicking the shape of the moon they were approaching and then pointing to a specific area. I think he's suggesting where to land, Maya said. As they approached the moon, Jack saw it was heavily cratered, as Maya had said. One particularly deep crater on the far side, hidden from Earth and Mars, seemed to be Krell's target. Jack guided the damaged ship down, using the last of their fuel to make a rough but successful landing in the shadows of the crater wall. "Engines offline," he announced as he shut down the systems. "We're hidden for now, but those Helix ships will find us eventually." Krell and Lyra exchanged looks. Then Krell made a series of gestures toward the stasis pods still in the cargo bay. "I think," Maya said slowly, "he wants to wake up the others." Jack looked from Krell to Lyra, trying to understand their plan. "You want to wake up all the others now? Is that safe for them?" Lyra made gestures toward the ship's damaged systems, then pointed to the sleeping aliens. She held up 3 fingers. "I think she's saying 3 more," Maya interpreted. "Not all of them." Jack considered their situation. The ship was damaged. They were hiding on a small moon. Helix Security was hunting them. They needed help. "Okay," he finally agreed. "Wake up. 3 more." Krell nodded and led the way back to the cargo bay. Lyra followed with Jack, Maya, and Hank close behind. In the cargo bay, Krell moved with purpose, examining each stasis pod carefully. He selected 3 and indicated them to Lyra, who nodded in agreement. "They're choosing specific ones," Hank observed. "Must be people with skills they need." Krell activated the first pod. As the cover slid back, they saw another alien, more slender than Krell, but with similar features. As this alien awakened, Lyra and Krell made soft musical sounds, apparently explaining the situation. The new alien sat up, looking around with alert eyes. It noticed the humans and studied them with clear intelligence. "That's Vex," Jack said, catching the name as Krell introduced the newcomer. "Welcome aboard, Vex." Vex nodded in acknowledgement, then moved immediately to examine the ship's systems, touching panels and studying readouts. "I think we got a technical expert," Hank said, watching Vex work. Krell opened the next pod. This alien had a different appearance, with slightly darker silver skin and more delicate features. When it opened its eyes, they were a striking shade of green. After a brief exchange with Lyra and Krell, this alien turned to the humans and, to everyone's surprise, spoke. "Hello, I am Zara." The voice was musical, but the words were clearly English, though strangely accented. "You speak our language?" Maya asked in amazement. "Little," Zara replied. "Learn from ... signals. Long time listening." "She must have learned from our radio and TV broadcasts," Hank suggested. "They've been traveling through space for decades," Zara nodded. "Yes, listen, learn, not perfect." "It's impressive," Jack said sincerely. "Can you tell us who you are and why you're here?" Before Zara could answer, Krell opened the third pod. This alien was different from the others, with markings along its arms and a more weathered appearance. When it woke and looked around, its gaze was sharp and assessing. "Oren," Zara introduced. "He is ... Oren stood up without assistance and immediately went to Krell. They exchanged what looked like a military assessment of their situation. Zara turned back to Jack. "Now we talk. We are Navari from ... She gestured toward the stars. "Another solar system," Maya supplied. "Yes," Zara nodded. "We run from enemy, bad enemy, called the Swarm." "The Swarm?" Jack repeated. Zara's expression darkened. "They destroy. All take planets, kill people." Vex had returned from examining the ship. He spoke to Zara in their language, making urgent gestures. Ship damaged, Zara translated. Vex can fix but need parts. We don't have spare parts, Hank said. And we can't exactly go shopping with Helix after us. Zara spoke with Vex again, then looked at the humans. Vex says, use parts from Stasis pods. One already empty. Jack exchanged looks with his crew. If we use parts from the pods, how will your friends survive? Zara seemed to understand the concern. Last pod not working. Friend already gone, use that one. Hank nodded slowly. It could work. Their technology is advanced. If Vex knows what he's doing, we might be able to repair our ship enough to get moving again. And then what? May asked. Where do we go? Helix will be watching all the main space lanes. Zara turned to Krell and Oren, who were examining the holographic star map Lyra had activated earlier. They appeared to be planning something. We have friend, Zara explained, turning back to the humans. On Mars base, she helped before. You've been to Mars? Jack asked, surprised. Zara shook her head. No, ship came before. Long ago, met human, made ... agreement. What kind of agreement? Maya asked cautiously. Protection, Zara said. We warn. About swarm, humans help hide us. Jack frowned. So someone on Mars already knows about your people? One person, scientist, Sharon Kelly. Maya's eyes widened. Sharon Kelly? She's the lead researcher at the Mars Defense Research Station. She has high-level security clearance. You know her? Jack asked. I read about her work when I was studying at the Mars Academy, Maya explained. She specializes in deep space, monitoring and potential threats to the solar system. Suddenly, the ship's proximity alert sounded again, but more softly since they were in low-power mode. They're scanning the moon, Hank reported, checking a monitor. They haven't spotted US yet, but it's just a matter of time. Oren moved to the weapons console, making adjustments with quick, practiced movements. What's he doing? Jack asked. Making ready, Zara explained. If they find, we fight. Our weapons are no match for Helix ships, Hank pointed out. Oren made a sound that might have been a laugh. He gestured to the modifications he was making to the system. Oren says, human weapons simple, he make better. Vex had already begun dismantling the damaged stasis pod, carefully removing components with Lyra's help. We need time, Zara said to Jack. Fix ship, make plan. Jack nodded. Hank, help Vex with whatever he needs. Maya, check if you can find any information on this Sharon Kelly and how to contact her. I'll monitor the Helix ship's movements. Everyone moved to their tasks. Jack was impressed by how quickly the aliens worked. Vex's hands moved with incredible precision, adapting alien technology to work with human systems. Oren transformed their simple defensive lasers into something more powerful using only the materials available on the ship. Krell and Lyra worked together on what appeared to be a communication device. As Jack watched the scanner, he saw the Helix ship systematically searching the moon's surface, moving in a grid pattern. They're being thorough, he muttered to himself. We have maybe an hour before they reach this crater. Zara approached him, having overheard. Need more time, Vex says. 2 hours to fix engines. Jack shook his head. We don't have 2 hours. Zara considered this, then spoke to Krell. After a brief exchange, she turned back to Jack. Have plan. Dangerous. Need small ship. We have an emergency shuttle, Jack said. Single pilot craft for evacuations. Not much fuel, though. Zara nodded. Good, Krell and Oren, go in small ship, make ... distraction. That's too risky, Jack argued. Helix will capture them. No capture, Zara said firmly. Oren knows fighting. Krell knows flying. Before Jack could protest further, Maya called from the communication station. Jack, I found her. Sharon Kelly is still at the research station. I can try to send an encrypted message. Do it, Jack ordered. Tell her we have visitors who know her name. Use exactly those words. As Maya worked on the message, Jack turned back to Zara. If we can contact this scientist, maybe we won't need a dangerous distraction. Zara shook her head. Too late, look. She pointed to the scanner where the Helix ships had changed their search pattern, now moving directly toward their crater. They found something, Jack realized. Maybe our engine heat signature. Krell made a decision. He spoke firmly to Orin, who nodded. They both looked at Jack, waiting for his approval. Jack hesitated, then nodded. The shuttle bay is one level down, I'll show you. As they moved toward the shuttle bay, Maya called out, "Message sent!" But I don't know how long until she receives it. Keep trying, Jack replied. We need to buy time, one way or another. The fate of everyone aboard now depended on two aliens taking an emergency shuttle to distract their pursuers, and a message to a scientist who might not even remember an encounter from years ago. Jack wondered how his simple salvage operation had turned into this desperate gamble for survival. Jack watched on the monitor as the small emergency shuttle launched from the bargain hunter. Krell piloted the craft with surprising skill, keeping low to the moon's surface to avoid immediate detection. They're heading toward the far side. Maya reported, Helix ships haven't spotted them yet. How's the repair coming? Jack asked, turning to where Hank and Vex worked on the engines. Almost there, Hank replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. Vex is a genius. He's combining their stasis pod technology with our engines. I don't fully understand it, but it's working. Zara stood next to Jack, watching the monitor intently. Krell knows what to do. Draw them away. Just then, a bright flash appeared on the screen as Orin fired the shuttle's modified weapons at a rocky outcrop far from their position. The explosion was much larger than the shuttle's small lasers should have been able to create. What did they do to the shuttle's weapons? Jack asked in amazement. Orin. Changes things, Zara explained simply. Makes stronger. The distraction worked. Both Helix ships immediately changed course toward the explosion. They took the bait, Maya said. But once they get there and don't find us, they'll come back. We need to be gone by then, Jack replied. He called down to engineering. Hank, we need those engines now. 5 more minutes. Hank shouted back. Lyra approached with the communication device she and Krell had been working on. She handed it to Zara, who explained, for Sharon Kelly, special frequency. Maya looked up from her console. I've been trying to reach her on standard channels with no response. You think this will work? Yes, old agreement. Special way to talk. Jack nodded to Maya. Try it. Connect that device to our COM system. As Maya worked to integrate the alien technology, the monitor showed the Helix ships reaching the site of the explosion. They hovered there, scanning the area. Where's the shuttle? Jack asked, not seeing it on the screen. There, Zara pointed to a small blip moving rapidly away from the moon. Krell takes them further. They're sacrificing themselves to give us time, Jack realized. Zara shook her head. No, they come back. Krell is best pilot. The alien device suddenly lit up in Maya's hands, emitting a soft humming sound. I think it's working, she said. A moment later, a voice came through the ship's speakers. This is Sharon Kelly, who was trying to reach me on this frequency. Maya looked at Jack, who nodded for her to respond. Dr. Kelly, this is Maya Watson aboard the salvage ship Bargain Hunter. We have visitors who know your name. There was a long pause before Sharon replied, her voice now tense. How many visitors? 6 living, 1 deceased, Maya answered, glancing at the aliens. Where are you now? Sharon asked urgently. Hiding on a moon in the outer belt. We're being pursued by Helix Security. Helix? Sharon's voice hardened. Listen carefully. You need to get to Mars immediately. I can protect you once you're in Mars orbital space, but not before. Do you understand? Yes, Jack cut in, but our ship is damaged. We're making repairs? Now, work fast. If Helix gets hold of your visitors, it would be disastrous. They're not working for any government. They have their own agenda. What do they want with the aliens? Jack asked. The same thing anyone would want with advanced technology, Sharon replied grimly. Power, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process. The monitor suddenly flashed with warning lights. The Helix ships are moving again, Maya reported, but not back toward us. They're chasing the shuttle. Can Krell outrun them? Jack asked Zara. Before she could answer, Hank's voice came over. The intercom. Engines are online. We can fly. Prepare for immediate takeoff. Jack ordered, moving to the pilot's seat. Maya, tell Dr. Kelly we're coming to Mars. Zara, can you help me with the navigation? As everyone rushed to their positions, Jack fired up the engines. They hummed with a new, smoother sound thanks to the alien modifications. What about Krell? And Oren? Maya asked as she strapped into her seat. Jack looked at Zara, who was studying the navigation console. Can we help them? Zara shook her head. No need. Look. On the monitor, the shuttle was performing impossible maneuvers, looping around asteroids and changing directions so sharply that the Helix ships couldn't keep up. I've never seen flying like that, Jack said in amazement. Krell was DOS pilot of our fleet, Zara explained. He knows what to do. Jack guided the bargain hunter out of the crater and away from the moon, heading in the opposite direction from the chase. We'll go to Mars on a different route. Hopefully Helix will be too busy with the shuttle to notice us. As they accelerated away, Vex entered the cockpit. He studied the ship's controls for a moment, then made some adjustments. The engines responded with even more power. He's still improving our systems, Hank said, watching from the doorway. I've never seen anything like it. Dr. Kelly says she meet us at the Mars Defense Research Station, Maya reported. She's arranging clearance for us to land there directly. The journey to Mars would normally take days, but with the alien-enhanced engines they could make it in hours. Jack set their course and then turned to Zara. Now that we have some time, can you tell us more about your people? And about this swarm you're running from? Zara nodded solemnly. She activated a small device that projected a holographic image showing a star system. Our home, she said, pointing to a beautiful blue-green planet. Then the image changed, showing the same planet being covered by dark, cloud-like formations. The swarm came. They consume everything. What exactly are they? Maya asked. Like insects, very small, very many. They join together, take over worlds. First, they send scouts, look like other species, study, then full attack. Jack felt a chill. And they're coming here? To our solar system? Yes, we tried to warn. Our ship attacked before message sent. We escaped in container. How long do we have? Hank asked, not know exactly, maybe 1 Earth year, maybe less. Jack exchanged worried looks with his crew. What had started as a simple salvage operation had turned into something much bigger. A warning that could save humanity. The communication system chimed again. Bargain hunter, this is Krell. A voice came through, speaking broken, but understandable. English, we escape Helix, following you now. They're safe, Maya said with relief. Set rendezvous coordinates for Mars orbit. Jack instructed as they traveled toward Mars. Jack looked around the cockpit at his crew and their new alien allies. His life had completely changed in just a few days. From a struggling salvage operator to the person who might help save humanity from an interstellar threat. What happens when we reach Mars? He asked Zara. Tell leaders, show evidence, help prepare. She looked at him with her shimmering eyes. Need humans, need ships, need fighters. And you think they'll believe us? Sharon Kelly will help. She knows truth. Zara put her hand on Jack's shoulder. You found us, for reason. Right person, right time, Jack nodded slowly. The cheap container he'd salvaged had changed everything. Now they carried a message that could determine the fate of Earth and all its people. As Mars grew larger in the view screen, Jack made a decision. Whatever came next, he and his crew would stay with their new allies. This wasn't just about salvage anymore. It was about survival. Look, Maya said, pointing to the view screen where a small fleet of Mars Defense Force ships had appeared, moving to escort them safely to the planet. Help had arrived. And none too soon. The real challenge, convincing humanity to prepare for an alien invasion, was just beginning.